I wasn't gonna do a video on this. I just wanted to talk to several different people about it. But what I wanted to talk about, and this video or this tag pretty much bled into that. When I think the title is "This Generation of Gamers Sucks" or whatever. Um, I think our generation. I mean, if you're like in your late 20s right now, or in your mid 20s, and beyond, I think that, and it's not just with gaming. It's just we experienced all these things very uniquely, because you see, it's not like our parents. Like, our parents grew up in a completely different era, and a completely different era of gaming. We actually went through some of their era without the internet, and then we experienced what it was like to see the internet for the first time. I know I did. Prodigy, I was on there. I played either chess or checkers for the first time, and it blew me away just by the fact that this is some random person I'm playing checkers with online. I experienced that. I experienced going from like ColecoVision and Atari to the regular Nintendo, to the amazing Super Nintendo, which is my favorite system of all time. I know what it's like to start a game not knowing anything about the game but the box art and the cover, and putting that in the system and just being like, okay, here we go, and getting my tail whooped by that game system because you only have three lives. I know what it's like when I played Super Mario for the first time, and you know that game would just play with your mind because you'd be running along the stage just fine. Then all of a sudden the ground's gone, and they just put this small, skinny, half of an inch platform that you have to jump on to get to the next edge of the level. You know, and you had three lives, and that was it. And then after you died, then the game would play some crappy ending music just to let you know how bad you sucked. You know, we went from that. We went from the 8-bit to the 16-bit to the 32-bit to the 64-bit, all the way to the 128-bit, which in my opinion the Dreamcast was the last like hoorah of something interesting for me. The PlayStation 2 launch was interesting, but the Dreamcast one was probably the last one that I was completely into. The the PlayStation 2, it was an interesting time. It was an interesting launch, but I say right about that era is when things started to kind of go downhill. But that's a whole nother topic. But this generation has not experienced all those things. I mean, this goes into the culture itself. It's not just gaming; it's just the culture. I mean, kids today. I mean, they not only do they have like video game strategy guides, they have the internet. They get on the internet. They can read about how to beat a game. They can watch a video demonstration. Heck, now, as I've seen with the new Donkey Kong game, they can actually have the game play itself for you. I mean, and Donkey Kong Country was an amazing revolution for the Super Nintendo. People don't realize that. That was an amazing revolution. And that game got pretty hard at times. But you know what? And there were a few strategy guides out there, but most of us did not get that. It was just you played through the game. You learn the secrets as you go. You figure this out. I think that aspect of gaming has died down a bit. The aspect of not being told what to do, but you have to figure it out. You know, I was talking to the completionist the other day, and one thing that I mentioned to him was today with gaming, with a lot of the games that come out, I don't feel that compelled to finish them. And I just recently picked up Super Castlevania 4. I'd heard of it, I've watched it, I've seen it when I was younger, and even now, but I never actually attempted to, beat it. And I finally got it, and you can watch the video of my thoughts about that. But I actually felt compelled and interested to finish that game. Whereas now, a lot of games come out. I think the last game that was actually interesting to me that's a current gen was Dead Space 2. I mean, most of the games I see them, and it's just like, yeah, it's interesting, it has a similar concept to this game, XYZ, but nothing. I don't feel compelled to finish it. And that type of mentality bleeds into the entire culture, and of course in gaming. And games affected by it. Gaming wasn't as popular when we were growing up. It was seen as a nerd thing. I mean, there were many cases where if you had friends come over, sometimes you would, and depending on what type of friend it was, because you had your certain cliques of friends. Because I played sports, and then of course I like to play games and other stuff. And depending on what type of friend you had, you would debate over whether you would keep some of your nerdy stuff out or whether you would, put it away or something. You know, it was not a cool thing. Gaming was not cool in our generation until like the Dreamcast, PlayStation 2 era. Because even when the PlayStation in 64 was coming out, it still wasn't as popular. It was still just kind of like, it was just kind of getting to the point of being popular. It was still not a completely popular thing. Whereas now it's part of the culture. Gaming. I mean, there is no way you could be cool with doing some of the stuff people do now. It's the same thing with anime. There is no way you could get away with this back in, like, say, 1993. You would be seen as a complete nerd. What, you have a video game magazine in class? So I mean, a lot of the stuff that they talk about, I just think it's just a lot of the stuff that's going on now. There's a lot of current trends and a lot of bandwagonism going on. I think gaming has become a big thing in popular culture. Whether that's good or bad, we'll find out in the future. I'm not trying to be negative because I enjoy gaming. Gaming has always been a big hobby of mine. I've always enjoyed it, and I still think there are a lot of good and interesting things about the current generation of gaming. But since it's become pretty much like Hollywood almost in a sense, all the bad stuff that comes with that has now come forth, and a lot of it is a lot of people hopping on the whole fad of being a gamer. Now it's cool to be retro. There's a whole retro fad of people wearing Nintendo shirts or anything like that. I mean, this whole retro thing is a fad. People collecting retro games. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a lot of people that do it, they're just doing it because it's like a fad. Like, look at me, I'm playing, I have a Nintendo, so I know what's up, when they really don't. But they're just doing it because it's the in thing now. Because gaming is popular now, so now they're going back and trying to get all of this retro stuff because now it's the in thing. Which that is a whole another subject. But I guess I should sum it up real quick here. I also know you mentioned something about either you're a multiplayer gamer or a single player gamer. I guess I'm that rare breed because I've always liked multiplayer games, and gaming has always had a multiplayer aspect to it. From what I remember, whether it be if it's just one player and a bunch of people gathered around you watching it, or if it's just or if it's a two-player co-op game. And I grew up playing PC games as well. I was doing co-op on like Quake 3, and all that kind of stuff before it was popular like it is now. But again, I grew up with a lot of single player games, and then I got a chance to see it evolve into where you had this giant multiplayer aspect. And of course, if you played fighting games, that was a multiplayer game, or any two-player game. Super Mario Brothers 1 is technically a two-player game. Two people could sit down and play it together and lose together, So I guess I'm that rare breed that likes single-player and multiplayer games, and always grew up like that. But I just think all the stuff I mentioned before, I think that is why gaming and the gaming industry and the gaming community, whatever that is, has become what it has become. I mean, just look at YouTube. YouTube is it pretty much shows you what has become of gaming. And whether you see, there's some good in it and there's a lot of bad in it. And that's what happens when many things become mainstream. You can you can take music as a good example. There's a lot of music genres that started out awesome, and then they become mainstream, and a lot of people join on, and then that's when a lot of the garbage starts happening. And that's not saying that there isn't any good out of that, but I'm pretty sure most people would agree that there's the bad has outweighed the good when things become very mainstream in most cases. I mean, look at the whole 3D fad. Good God, everything has to be 3D now. I mean, eat your food in 3D. Like, pretty soon that's gonna come out. 3D egg rolls or something. I don't know, but anyway, I just wanted to touch upon that real quick and put my thoughts out there. So this is AxeBlack84. I'm out.